Good evening and thanks for joining us on Valley News Live at 10. I'm Ethan Kramer. Well, the past few days had been bitterly cold, but for the first time in a long time, we got above the freezing point and warmer temperatures are on the way. For more on that, here's meteorologist Joseph Williams. Joseph, what's going on?
Yeah, that's right. We got above the freezing point. Actually, we reached around the freezing point in Fargo today, ending this streak of below 32 temperature readings throughout the past 19 days. That started on February 3rd, ended yesterday, ended today technically, because we got around the freezing point. The point is, we finally warmed up a big time. Around 28 in Grand Forks, 29 in Fargo, and we have some more heat out west as that air mass out west expands towards our regions. We are going to be getting warmer over the next couple of days, and I will go over that in your first look forecast. For now, though, our satellite radar showing some sprinkles out of the North Dakota, South Dakota border. Most of our region, though, just looking at cloudy skies. And heading into tonight, there's a slight chance of flakes around midnight in Fargo. Otherwise, our main threat for tomorrow morning will be some patchy, dense fog in the Fargo-Moorhead area. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll also keep an eye on precip chances, warm temperatures next week in your first look forecast.
Awesome. Thanks, Joseph. Well, it's a good idea to keep that VNL weather app handy for forecasts right at your fingertips. You can download it and use it for free. Just search VNL weather in the App Store today. Well, new tonight on Friday at 5:53 p.m., a serious two-vehicle injury crash occurred in Lemoore County at the intersection of Highway 281 and County Road 35. According to North Dakota Highway Patrol, a 38-year-old Jamestown man driving a Ford Bronco failed to stop at a stop sign, which resulted in him crashing into a 47-year-old Jamestown man driving a semi-truck. The 38-year-old man driving the Bronco sustained serious injuries in the crash. The driver of the semi-truck was not injured. The crash remains under investigation by the North Dakota Highway Patrol. Well, a funeral was held today in Minnesota for a Customs and Border Patrol agent who died while in the line of duty in Vermont last month. David Molland was shot and killed on January 20th of 2025 during a traffic stop in Vermont. He was just 44 years old. The Blue Earth, Minnesota native is being laid to rest at Fort Snelling National Cemetery with full military honors, according to his obituary. If you'd like to read that obituary, head to valleynewslive.com and click on this story. Well, the Fargo Police Department is asking for the public's help in locating 14-year-old Jayla Kumarovich. She was last seen today in South Fargo. Anyone with information about her possible whereabouts are encouraged to contact the Red River Regional Dispatch Center at 701-451-7660. Tonight, for the first time in his new administration, President Trump is spending the weekend in the nation's capital. CBS's Willie James Inman is at the White House with details.
In an unprecedented move, President Trump fired four-star General Charles C.Q. Brown, the nation's highest-ranking military officer. Trump called Brown a fine gentleman and an outstanding leader without giving a reason for his dismissal. The president said he will nominate three-star Air Force Lieutenant General Dan Kane to replace General Brown. Brown is a highly decorated fighter pilot with over 40 years of service.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth to end the woke insanity and rebuild our military.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said Brown served with distinction, but Hegseth has criticized so-called woke ideology deployed in the military.
You got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go.
Also ousted the Navy's top admiral Lisa Franchetti and Air Force Vice Chief of Staff James Slife. The leadership shakeup comes as the Pentagon, the government's biggest employer, prepares to fire at least 5,400 probationary employees next week.
I signed an order creating the Department of Government Efficiency, which is now waging war on government waste, fraud, and abuse.
This, as the president says he wants Doge leader Elon Musk to get more aggressive with federal cuts.
Federal employees have begun receiving an email with instructions to reply with 5 bullet points about what they accomplished over the last week, with a deadline set for late Monday evening. Willie James Inman, CBS News, the White House.
At that CPAC, President Donald Trump also met backstage with the president of Poland amid discussions over a possible peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. Well, we are following a developing story. According to the Vatican, Pope Francis is in critical condition after the Vatican says he suffered a long asthmatic respiratory crisis that required high flows of oxygen. The 88-year-old, who has been hospitalized for a week with a complex lung infection, also received blood transfusions. In a statement, the Vatican says the Holy Father continues to be alert and spent the day in an armchair, although in more pain than yesterday. At the moment, the prognosis is reversed, the statement said. For more on the Pope, Chris Livesay joins us from Rome. Chris.
Good evening. It was an abrupt turn. The Holy See is reporting that Pope Francis remains in critical condition after suffering a prolonged respiratory crisis earlier today. The update added that the pontiff required high-flow oxygen and, in a first during this hospital stay, blood transfusions after tests revealed anemia. Doctors said he was in more pain than yesterday, but Francis remained alert, spending much of the day seated in his armchair. Earlier this week, they reported he had double pneumonia, serious for anyone, especially an 88-year-old already missing part of a lung that was removed when he was a young man. He's no stranger here at the Gemelli Hospital. This is his fourth stay here since 2021. 2 years ago, he was admitted for pneumonia. As for the latest scare, the Vatican says he is not out of danger, and they emphasize that his prognosis remains guarded, which means they can't predict if he's going to get better or worse. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Rome.
Thanks, Chris. Well, to stay up to date with all things locally and across the world and nationwide, it's a good idea to keep that VNL News app handy for breaking news right at your fingertips. You can download it and use it for free. Just search VNL News in the App Store today.
Well, we're looking at cloudy skies, some fog for your morning commute tomorrow, and temperatures back in the teens for the morning commute, but still better than the past few mornings. Coming up, more spring-like weather is on the way, but also want to first alert you to some rain chances that we're tracking all in your first alert forecast.